Robin Voss proposes a change for college campuses, suggesting the elimination of diversity offices.
It's part of a national push to remove programs related to diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI. Emily Riley spoke with state leaders and students today for their reaction.
State Assembly Speaker Robin Voss is urging the UW system to remove DEI offices from public universities across the state. In a comment in the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel, Voss said, quote, "If they want to increase their funding, they have to show they can prioritize things to grow the economy and not the racial divide," unquote. UW Systems President Jay Rothman says they set a goal of increasing the number of graduates by 10% in the next 5 years. He says they can't reach it without DEI offices in place.
The I stands for something, and ED&I, and it stands for inclusion, and that means everyone. Including people that are historically underrepresented groups, but it also includes veterans, those of lower socioeconomic means, and it also means people with differing viewpoints and different perspectives.
Meanwhile, on campus, some students say they also don't want to lose these programs.
The diversity offices add a level of safety and security for students that without them we wouldn't have.
The Republican-controlled legislature is in the process right now of reshaping Governor Evers' budget proposal. He wants DEI offices to stay.
It's not just something that the public sector has embraced, it's the private sector has. For good reason. We have to take those issues very seriously. We're seeing it on campus at UW-Madison as we speak. I think it's a ridiculous proposal.
After reaching